Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the little bell on the side? So once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now today's video, I would like to discuss a topic as you have read. What is subsequent entrant? Now subsequent entrant, well, by means it's subsequently another entrance into Australia. It's basically related to family members who are actually being added into your application, you as the primary visa applicant, so who is actually holding either whatever the visa that you're holding, and that then upon your arrival or after your grant of visa, you like to add your family members so they can come into Australia to accompany with you and united as a family. So what sort of situation where that actually occur? For example, people may want to come to Australia to study abroad, perhaps work for an Australian employer. Then you probably came along by yourself at the beginning. So because you haven't settled yet. You don't want to bring all your family, your kids in, and then while you are attending a lecture, studying, or attending your employment, and then all of a sudden you have to gather all the information and get your kids into school, blah blah blah, and all that things. So you probably would like to come along by yourself first, and then you wanted to apply for a subsequent entrant for your family to coming in afterwards. So there is some technical issue here. Today's video, I'd like to let you know which kind of visa can actually do this and which kind of visa cannot. And I will choose some of the related commonly asked visa category to explain this. Now generally there won't be an issue for anyone to actually apply for their family visa, but if your visa that you apply for is a category that gets you into permanent residency straight away, then you cannot add subsequent entrant later on. Why is that? Well, I think just technically they wish to do this so to avoid any issues, family issue, what I'm trying to say. For instance, if you're applying for a permanent visa, you get invited for 190, and you have already applied, and during the process there you're waiting for application that you actually got married. Now, can you add your wife into the application? The answer is no. It's just the technical and the legal procedure that the system does not allow you to do that. Now, reason behind that, well, I don't want to speculate too much, but that's how it goes. But if you're applying for or you're holding other kind of visa, not a permanent visa, then you can certainly add your new married wife into your application without any issues. So let's go in there and have a look some of the samples, and I'll explain more some of the cases how this will actually be having some difficulty and technicality in the decision-making process. So you don't apply straight away, and while you want to adding more people in as your family members, you cannot do it. Okay, so the first one, let's go in there. Very easy. It's a student visa. Obviously, you know what student visa allows you to do. Allows you to study in Australia. So now this visa does have a little bit differences for subsequent entrant. So if we go to you can actually find this through Google. If you go to the About this visa, and there's a button here say include family here, and once we click on that one, it will take you down straight to the section where the how they explain this. So let's have a read about this. So it says you can include your family member when you lodge your visa application. Okay, so obviously any visa application you can have family member at the time of visa application when you lodge or submit your application. The key question here that we are talking about and discussing about in this video is, can you do it after you lodge it? So there's a technicality here. So you can include your partner and your dependent child under 18, okay? Hasn't turned 18 yet. Now, can you include your parents? The answer is no. Okay, you cannot. We cannot grant a student visa to your child if they have already turned 18. Okay, so there is a detailed specification on a student visa alone. You must declare your family members at the time of your visa. Some people choose not to declare it. I do not know why. Why won't you declare them? So if you do not declare them, and you want to apply for subsequent entrant later on, it will basically mean you had misled the government, and that will trigger PIC 4020, and that's very serious. That's 3 to 10 years of visa ban plus visa cancellation. So you better declare everything that you have. Do not hide, because you hiding information is some sort of misleading information too. Your family member can also apply a subsequent entrant, here we go, at a later time, separate to your application. Family member who apply for visa must meet their health and character, check annual school fees, and blah, blah, blah. Now, there's another technicality for student visa subsequent entrant is that the primary visa holder, so the person who is actually studying the course, his visa or her visa has to be longer than 12 months in order to have the eligibility for family member to apply for subsequent entrant. So the case here is, if you're about to graduate for the next 3 months, so your visa is only 3 to 5 months left, can you apply a subsequent entrant for your child or for your spouse? No, the visa will not be granted for that point of view. So there is some technicality here for student visa. Now let's jump into the work visa, so temporary skill shortage. Now this, you can find this, there's currently a short-term, medium-term, and labor agreement, and you can see there is a subsequent entrant down here. Now apart from student visa, all the other subsequent entrant visa will not have that 12-month thingo condition to it. So you can apply for your family member, and that includes your existing one and the kids. Some people, they may apply for their work visa as they were never married, they were single, and they got 4 years visa, for example, and after first year of working in Australia, got married, and would like to have his wife to come to Australia under his 482 visa as well. So the wife then applied for a subsequent entrant visa to coming in. So that's pretty easy to understand. For 482, it's quite easy to understand. And if there's a kids, obviously you can, under 18, you can come with that as well. Now 491 is the same. Any visa that is under the we'll start with 4, you can actually have subsequent, but the only visa that you cannot have subsequent entry start with the 4 is the working holiday maker visa. So that's 462 and 417. Those one cannot have a company family member there. So as you can see, 491 allows you to have a subsequent entrant. You can apply for 491 solely by yourself, and after 1 or 2 years you wanted to add your family member in, you can do that. And make sure at the time of your first visa application, you still need to declare your family members. You know, you do, or unless the circumstances is that like this, that you were single, you were not married, so you obviously at the time of your 491 visa, you would not know who your future spouse will be. So obviously you can't disclose it. But if you already married at the time of your 491 visa or 482 visa or 500 visa, it's better that you, we will always recommend mandatory, compulsory to declare them. Otherwise, you don't want to trigger PIC 4020. Okay, now it's the same for 485 visa. Now 485 visa will be the same if you go to, I'm not too sure why the immigration website designed this way. Some of them will show subsequent entrant at the front page of the visa category. Some of them will show at the, once you click in there and you go into about this visa and you click on include family, that's where that will show it. So anyway, I'm not too sure why it's not all the visa is the same. Anyway, so here let's read. You can include your family member at the time. So always you can always include family member at the time of application. A family member can also apply and must meet the health and character. You can add and children until decision on your visa application is made. You cannot add any other member of family unit to your application during that period. What does that mean? Okay, that means, anyway, let's finish reading this. The final sentence says, your family can apply join your Australian subsequent entry after you grant a visa. So let's explain this. It says you can't add any other member of family unit to your application during the period. That means at the time when you apply for 485, there's a wait time. So before it's been granted, you cannot add anyone in. So after you granted, for example, all right, let's give a scenario. You apply, and after 3 months you got married, okay, and you got spouse there, but your visa hasn't been granted yet. Okay, so obviously you send a change of circumstances notifying immigration that you got married, and 3 or 4 months later your 485 visa granted. Then at the time of grant your visa, because it's already granted, then you can apply, your family, that's your spouse, can apply to join your visa as a subsequent entrant after, and that is after the grant of your visa. So that's how that would work. Okay, so a lot of people come to me because obviously the technicality is due to the design of the law and regulation. So sometimes we think things are as what we thought, but when it gets to law, and especially visa, it's not as easy as you think, and that's why we have this channel here. Anyway, now let's go into some visa category that is a permanent residency visa, and let's have a look how that look. Okay, so I'll pick subclass 190. Obviously that's a skill nominated by the state government. Again, I choose the about this visa category, and I click on include family here. Now again, the first sentence is always the same. It says you can include member family unit in your application at the time of your lodgement. So include them at your lodge and add them after you lodge application. But before we decide on your visa. So you can this generally applies to baby born during the processing time. Okay. But in general practice, if things do happen, you have a newly married spouse, generally is upon after the grant visa, and then you add them in, not add them in, you apply for partner visa. That's how general procedure will work. Family member who apply for visa must meet health and character. If your partner dependent child not including application to assist in the application, please tell us reason why. Generally you cannot, it doesn't make any sense if you declare them and you're not giving them the right to have the permanent residency visa. I haven't seen this scenario at all. Certainly not. Okay, now what about 858 visa? Now I've also clicked on about this visa, and let's go to include family. As you can see, you can include at the time of your application, and your kids must be under 18. You can include If you're under 18, okay, sorry, you can include kids who are under 18, but if you are the person who is under 18 as a primary visa, this very it's a distinguished talent. You must be a genius on this one. You can include your parents, but I haven't seen these kind of things before. Obviously, again, you cannot add anyone in during the process of your visa application. So let's wrap this up. The summary, very easy to understand. If your application is a permanent visa application, you better have all your family member at the time of application. You cannot add them in later on, because if you become a permanent resident, then you sponsor them afterwards. That means more cost and more money to be involved in there. Now, if you're applying for any visa that's other than permanent visa, for example, student visa, working visa, graduate work visa, 491, anything other than permanent resident, you can actually add subsequent entrant into your visa category. But there are some tiny differences between different visas, as I have explained earlier in this video. Anyhow, should you have more question query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.